Welcome, dear traveler. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome to this quiet corner where forgotten history lingers. Before we begin, I'd love to know, where are you listening from tonight and what time is it there? Feel free to leave a comment. It's always a comfort to see where our fellow night wanderers gather. And if you enjoy these soft, shadowed journeys through time, consider subscribing, so you'll never miss the next one. Now, let's begin. Beneath the cold breath of ancient seas, the lost cities rest, silent, bound in salt. Long ago, their towers rose high into sunlight, their marble streets alive with voices. Now, stone sleeps beneath the weight of water, and centuries glide past like drifting silt. The ocean floor spreads wide, a forgotten plain of broken domes and leaning columns. Roads vanish beneath the slow fall of sand. Here and there, stone walls rise from the deep, overgrown with seaweed that coils and sways in rhythm with unseen tides. From far above, pale shafts of light reach down, thin silver threads piercing the blue gloom. They trace the outlines of collapsed bridges, sunken stairways, vast plazas now home to only silence and fish. At the heart of the drowned city stands a gate of iron and stone. Its hinges, once mighty, now bloom with rust and barnacles. Chains sway gently in the current. Beyond the gate, a boulevard stretches into shadow, a long-forgotten path, its marble tiles faded and cracked. Statues line the way, stone kings and queens with faces half-worn by time. Coral creeps along their robes. Tiny fish drift through empty sockets where eyes once gazed upon the world above. And the sea breathes, deep, slow. Through fissures in stone, through broken vaults and hollow towers, the water murmurs, an ancient voice that none now answer. Further on, the ruins of the marketplace sleep beneath a blanket of sand. Stalls stand empty, their marble counters veiled in moss. Shattered amphorae lie scattered, coins gleam faintly among the silt. For merchants, once these stalls rang with barter and laughter. Spice and silk, bronze and glass, goods from distant shores passed through busy hands. Now only the occasional flicker of a silver-scaled fish stirs the silence. Banners that once hung bright with color now drift in tatters, threads caught and woven by the sea. A narrow alley winds from the market. Its walls lean inward, heavy with centuries. Fragments of faded frescoes linger upon stone, glimpses of forgotten gods and merchants now long departed. A single door remains intact, half-buried, iron-banded, its surface furred with algae. Behind it a chamber waits, undisturbed. Within, an ancient ledger, pages swollen and fragile, rests upon a tilted desk, an inkpot overturned, a pen adrift. The ledger's last entry, its script blurred, still catches the eye, though no reader remains. For scribes, this was once a place of order. Tall shelves, scrolls in neat rows, ink-stained fingers at work by lamplight. Now the lamps lie cold, their glass darkened with salt. Shelves lean and collapse beneath the weight of water and time. Papers drift in slow spirals through the gloom. And deeper still, beneath the silted floors, beneath arches of crumbling stone, lies the great library. Columns rise like drowned giants, their capitals festooned with seaweed and shells. Between them, long-forgotten tomes float in glassy light, pages turning with each gentle pulse of the deep. A single iron key lies here, upon a scholar's table, its edges worn, its purpose long lost. Around it, scattered sheets bear faded lines of poetry, the ink trailing off as though left mid-verse. For pilgrims, this was once a place of wisdom, a sanctuary of thought. They came by ship and caravan to walk these vaulted halls, to read by the glow of lanterns, to breathe the words of the ancients. Now the breath of stone and sea is all that remains. In the depths of the city, beneath a broken dome, a temple waits, its entrance flanked by statues of forgotten deities, their faces obscured by coral crowns. Within, salt-streaked altars, chalices fused with barnacles. A single candle holder still stands upright upon the main altar, though its flame was extinguished long ago. And here, a moment of slow time. A single shard of light falls through the fractured dome, resting upon a carved stone book left open upon the altar. Page edges waver faintly in the unseen current, as though some unseen hand might yet return to turn them. Far above, unseen, the tides shift. The city breathes beneath them, slow and deep, and through the forgotten corridors, soft footsteps echoed. The current moves softly through the city's heart. Beyond the market and the sunken library, deeper pathways call. Here, the sea narrows the world. Wide avenues give way to tangled alleys, their stone walls pressed close beneath the weight of years. A winding stair descends, half swallowed by sand and moss, its steps spiral into gloom. Above, shafts of pale light fade into indigo. Below, only shadows remain. Each step is slick with age. Seaweed clings to crumbling edges, trailing like faded banners. Carved railings, once polished by countless hands, lie encrusted with salt and time. The hush here is deeper, woven with the cold breath of the deep. For soldiers, once these stairs echoed beneath iron-clad feet. Down they marched to the armories of the deep citadel. Now only the faint shift of water stirs the silence. The stair ends in a narrow corridor. Its vaulted ceiling bears carvings of shield and spear, the heraldry of forgotten houses. Mosaics underfoot depict battles long erased from memory, figures locked in combat beneath a drifting layer of silt. Beyond a threshold of fallen stone lies the armory itself, a cavernous hall, its far corners lost to shadow. Iron racks lean drunkenly, their contents claimed by rust. Blades lie half-buried, hilts entwined with seaweed. For peasants conscripted, these weapons once brought dread and hope alike. Now the edges are dulled, the war song stilled. Only the sea sings here. A helmet, its plume reduced to threads, rests upon a toppled bench. A breastplate, split along its seam, lies beside it, crusted with barnacles. A single sword remains upright, its tip driven into a cracked flagstone. Around it, the faint shimmer of scales as small fish circle in unhurried dance. The hall breathes slowly with the current. Lantern frames hang empty from rusted chains above. Here and there, the remains of a banner drift against the stone, faint threads of crimson and gold dissolving into the green hush. A door stands ajar beyond the armory. Its surface is pitted iron, the hinges fused. Through it lies the soldiers' quarters. For women who worked these halls, sewing garments, cleaning arms, bringing warmth to cold stone. This place once rang with life. Now silence lingers. Simple wooden beds stand in rows, their frames warped and softened, beams split by the weight of the sea. Blankets lie in folds of faded cloth, silt layered upon them like forgotten dust. On a single bedside table, a folded letter remains, sealed in wax. Its edges softened, its script blurred yet still whole. The seal, a faded sigil of a house unknown, holds it closed beneath the press of centuries. Slow time here. The letter waits, untouched. Around it, dust of silt rises and falls with each faint shift of the water. A breath caught in stone. The quarters open upon a narrow courtyard. Arched colonnades frame its edges, columns leaning beneath the slow drift of the deep. Here, training grounds once rang with steel upon stone. Now sand carpets the floor. Broken practice dummies lie in mute collapse. Weeds coil through shattered helmets, bloom from hollow eye sockets. For scribes, Once they recorded victories, tallied spoils, named the dead. Their scrolls are lost to the tide. But one tablet remains, carved in stone and half buried in sand. Faint inscriptions speak of a triumph unclaimed, a war unfinished. Through a side arch, a narrow passage leads onward, its stones worn by countless feet. It narrows to a single file, walls close, shadows pressed thick. Salt crust coats the ceiling here, crystal veins running like frozen breath. The air seems to still. Only the soft hiss of the sea whispers beyond. A final turn reveals a gate of wrought iron. Its bars are twisted, half fallen, but beyond them, darkness opens wide. The path leads deeper still. And in the hollow dark, the breath of stone grew stronger. Beyond the twisted iron gate, the path deepens. Stone breathes here, slow, cold, patient. The corridor narrows once more. Overhead, the ceiling has collapsed in places, great blocks of stone resting askew. Between them, strands of seaweed drift like forgotten banners. The floor is uneven. Mosaic tile gives way to rough flagstone, then to bare rock. Here, the sea is thicker, heavier. Light struggles to reach this deep, falling in pale, trembling shafts that fade to darkness before they touch the floor. Soft silt eddies with each breath of the water. Small creatures flicker in and out of sight, their pale forms darting between cracks and hollows. For pilgrims, this was a path of reverence, the ancient processional way leading to the crypts below. They once came with candles in hand, shadows dancing along the carved walls. Now only the sea carries the flame. The walls here are marked with carvings, rows upon rows of figures, their faces lost to erosion. Arms raised in benediction, hands extended in offering. Among them, faded inscriptions curl along the stone in a language long forgotten. Here and there, niches yawn empty. Once they held votive statues, oil lamps, offerings of grain and gold. Now only barnacles cling to the stone. A curve in the path reveals an antechamber, small, round, its ceiling a fractured dome. Light filters through a single narrow slit high above, casting a thin beam that trembles in the shifting water. Within the beam's reach, an altar stands. Simple stone, unadorned, its surface worn smooth. Upon it lies a single object, a folded cloth, faded to pale gray, edges curling with age. For women, who once kept these cloths in readiness, prepared offerings, tended the sacred spaces. This place was a place of duty and of quiet fear. Now it waits, breath held beneath the tide. The chamber hums faintly with the sea's voice. Slow eddies coil and drift. The folded cloth stirs slightly with each unseen breath. A moment suspended, time caught in the hush. Beyond the altar, a narrow stair descends. The steps are steep, uneven. Coral creeps along their edges, tiny shells gleaming in the dimness. The stair winds down, deeper still, until it empties into a vast space. A crypt, the heart of the city's forgotten dead. Stone sarcophagi line the walls, some sealed, some half open, lids shifted by the tremor of years. Between them, the floor is strewn with silt and the debris of time. Fragments of bone, crumbled pottery, tattered cloth. The air here is dense, heavy. Shadows loom larger, drifting slow and thick. Pale fish move soundlessly between the stone coffers, their bodies gleaming like faint stars. For soldiers, some found rest here, beneath the city they swore to protect. Their weapons lie beside them, blades rusted to fragile filigree. Helms cradle empty skulls, now crowned with shells and coral. In the crypt's center, a larger sarcophagus stands alone. Its surface is carved with faded sigils, circles and lines that speak of rites long lost. Upon its lid, a figure reclines, stone hands folded, gaze turned to the unseen heavens above. A moment of slow time. Around the great sarcophagus, the water stirs faintly, small currents weaving soft patterns in the silt. One by one, tiny air bubbles rise from unseen cracks, drifting upward in lazy arcs. A side passage leads away from the crypt. Low and narrow, its walls bear fresh scars, stone cracked and gouged as though by claw or tool. For peasants, who sometimes sought refuge in the city's depths during storms, during war, this passage would have been a place of last resort. Now it offers no shelter, only shadow. The passage twists and narrows. Faint marks remain, scratches upon the stone, a length of frayed rope caught in a crevice. Signs of hurried flight, of those who did not return. At its end, the passage opens once more, into darkness, vast and unseen. The sea breathes deeper here, slow and strong, and beneath the nave a forgotten light flickered alone. The nave of the drowned cathedral rose into shadow. Here the sea held its breath. Above, broken ribs of stone traced the arc of a once mighty dome. Now jagged edges reached toward the surface far above, lost to the cold weight of the deep. Light fell here in trembling shafts, thin as threads, weaving through the dark like forgotten prayers. They touched shattered pews, their frames soft with silt. They caught the frayed edges of velvet banners that stirred faintly, flowing slow and silent with the tide. The floor beneath lay hidden beneath layers of fine sand. Mosaics, once bright with stories of gods and kings, now peered through in fragments, gleaming eyes, a hand outstretched, the curve of a celestial wheel. For pilgrims, this nave was once a place of awe. They came barefoot, heads bowed, voices raised in song. Now only the sea carries their hymns, woven into the hush that fills the space. At the far end of the nave stood the altar. Its surface was worn smooth by countless offerings, now crowned with coils of seaweed and small shells. Upon it rested a single goblet, silver tarnished to green, its rim encrusted with salt. Within, a thin layer of silt shimmered beneath the flicker of unseen currents. Behind the altar, the great window stood shattered. Shards of stained glass clung stubbornly to the frame. Deep blues, faded reds, fractured golds. Through them, a dim tapestry of light played upon the nave, a pale echo of forgotten sunrise. Beneath the window, stone steps led downward, narrow, worn, slick with algae. Here the air grew colder still, shadows thickening with each descent. The steps ended in a cloister, pillared, circular, open to the sea beyond. The outer arches had long since fallen, their stones resting in heaps among waving fields of seagrass. For scribes, this was once a place of reflection. They would sit beneath these arches, scrolls unrolled upon stone benches, ink flowing beneath the gentle warmth of the sun. Now the benches lay tilted, scrolls dissolved to memory, the sun but a faint echo above. At the cloister's center stood a fountain, its basin cracked and empty, save for a slow spiral of sand and small creatures weaving through its hollow core. Water once flowed here in crystal arcs. Now the sea alone fills the silence. A single figure remained, carved in marble, leaning against a central pillar. A scholar, quill in hand, gaze lifted toward the heavens now lost to the waves. Barnacles traced the folds of his robe. A trail of tiny bubbles rose from beneath his feet, drifting upward in languid ascent. Beyond the cloister, a corridor stretched outward, low and narrow, walls traced with carvings worn smooth. Here the sea pressed closer, darker. Each movement stirred slow clouds of silt, folding the world in pale veils. For merchants, this was the path to the vaults. They carried chests of coin, bolts of cloth, jars of oil and spice. Their footsteps echoed here once, measured, purposeful. Now no footfall disturbs the stillness. The vault doors remained, Great slabs of stone banded with iron, their surfaces furred with algae, rivets corroded to green. One stood half ajar, a thin crack opening into shadow. Within, the vault was a cathedral of stone and silence. Shelves lined the walls, their contents long devoured by time. Broken chests lay scattered. Coins gleamed faintly among the sand, silver, bronze, gold, all dulled by the sea's breath. A single lockbox rested upon a pedestal of stone. Its lid stood open. Within, folded parchment bound in faded ribbon. The ink had run, the words blurred to shadow. Yet beneath it all, a single seal remained intact, pressed in wax, bearing the mark of a house unknown. A moment of slow time. The ribbon stirs faintly with the pulse of the water. Tiny air bubbles drift from the lock's rusted edge, tracing slow spirals upward into the dark. Beyond the vault, a final archway yawned wide, its keystone cracked, the arch leaning as though caught mid-collapse. Through it, deeper darkness beckoned, and through forgotten corridors, soft footsteps echoed. Beyond the leaning archway, the way narrows once more. The sea deepens, pressing closer, colder. Here, the corridor becomes a passage of shadows. The carved stone gives way to rough-hewn rock. Veins of quartz gleam faintly along the walls, catching the stray flickers of unseen light. The floor slopes downward, shallow at first, then steeper. Sand gathers in rippling waves, soft beneath the slow pull of the tide. Each step stirs clouds of fine silt, folding the air in drifting veils. Above, the ceiling closes in, low, cracked, lined with salt crust. Long threads of seaweed dangle like forgotten tapestries, swaying in the unseen breath of the deep. For soldiers, this passage was a retreat, a final way out. Few returned this way. Now only the sea moves through these hollow halls. Midway along the path, a doorway yawns open to one side. Its frame is twisted, stone split by pressure unseen. Within lies a small chamber, a guardroom once, now a shrine to absence. Benches lean against the walls, their surfaces furred with algae. A rusted spear rests across one bench, its haft split, blade dulled to green. Beside it, a helmet sits upright, the inside home now to darting fish. Upon the far wall, faint carvings remain, names scratched by hand, some clear, others lost beneath the layered crust of centuries. A record of those who once stood watch here. For peasants, called to arms in distant times, these walls held their mark, their memory. Now the sea reads their names alone. In the center of the room, a brazier lies toppled, its iron frame bent, coals long scattered. Among them, a single shard of pottery, glazed deep blue, its edge sharp against the softness of the silt. A moment of slow time. The shard catches a pale gleam of light. Around it, tiny creatures spiral, their movements weaving soft patterns in the hush. Beyond the chamber, the path descends further. The slope steepens, walls press close once more. Here, stone is bare, rough, ancient. No carvings, no sign of hand or tool, only the mark of time and tide. The descent ends in darkness, vast and still. A cavern, broad, domed, its ceiling lost in shadow. The sea here moves slow and heavy, the air thick with silence. At the cavern's heart stands a circle of stone pillars. 12 in all, their surfaces wrapped in coral and shell. Between them, the floor sinks into a shallow bowl, an ancient well, long dry, now filled with the hush of the deep. For scribes, this was a place of ceremony. Here they gathered to mark the turning of years, the passing of rulers. Now the sea alone bears witness. A narrow path winds between the pillars. Along it, small offerings remain, coins, broken figurines, fragments of bone. Some gleam faintly beneath the layered silt. Others lie entwined in coils of seaweed, their purpose long forgotten. At the well's edge, a single chain descends, rusted, links thick with crust. It vanishes into the depths below, swaying faintly with each unseen breath of the water. A moment of slow time. The chain stirs, link by link, in a rhythm older than memory. Tiny bubbles drift upward from unseen depths, tracing a slow spiral toward the dark above. Beyond the cavern, another path opens, wide at first, then narrowing once more. Here the walls bear faint traces of paint, ochre and blue faded to ghostly hues, patterns of wave and flame, spirals that echo the slow dance of the sea. For women, once keepers of the rites here, these walls held their song, their touch. Now the tide carries their voice in currents unseen. The path twists, rises. Ahead a faint glow beckons, pale, unsteady. A lantern? No flame remains. Only a cracked glass casing, within which pale plankton drift, their light a living echo. The path ends beneath a broad arch carved with sigils worn near smooth. Beyond lies a space vast and unseen, its breath slow, deep, patient. And through the unseen cracks, salt whispered faintly still. Beyond the archway, the space opened wide, a hidden sanctum beneath the sea. The breath of the deep was heavy here. Water hung close, thick with silt and shadow. Sound faded beneath its weight. Only the slow pulse of the tide remained. Here stood what was once the assembly hall, a vast chamber ringed with towering columns. They rose from the floor like ancient trunks, their surfaces worn by centuries of salt and time. Shells and seaweed spiraled around them in quiet garlands. Above, the ceiling had partially collapsed. Great slabs of stone rested askew, framing narrow chasms through which faint shafts of light wandered. They traced pale fingers across the water, catching the drifting motes of silt in slow silver spirals. The floor beneath was wide, smooth stone now layered with fine sand. Long fissures marked its surface, cracks born of pressure and age. Between them, tiny creatures wove unseen paths, their movements stirring eddies that folded and faded into stillness. For scribes, this hall once held voices, words woven into the air like silk. Debates echoed between the pillars, judgments passed beneath the gaze of kings. Now no voice remains. Only the sea speaks here. At the chamber's heart, a great table lay overturned. Stone slabs now resting upon the sand, edges chipped, inscriptions half buried. Around it, fragments of chairs, legs broken, backs splintered, the wood long softened by the sea's patient breath. A moment of slow time. Upon one slab, a single object remained. A ring, bronze turned green, its surface etched with faint, swirling lines. It lay half buried, caught between stone and sand. A sign once worn with pride. Now a relic, its story whispered only to the deep. To one side of the chamber stood a raised dais. A single throne of stone still held its place, high-backed, arms broad, the seat worn smooth. Coral crowned its edges. Small fish traced silent circles through its hollow beneath. For merchants, this seat once commanded the hall. Here guild leaders spoke, alliances forged, disputes ended. Now only the slow coil of seaweed marks the passing of time. Behind the throne, a narrow door remained intact. Its surface bore carvings nearly lost, scenes of trade and travel, ships beneath full sail, coins spilling from outstretched hands. Beyond the door, a narrow passage beckoned. Its walls closed close once more, low, dark, stone rough beneath the touch. The breath of the sea grew colder here. Each step stirred small clouds of silt that folded in upon themselves, fading into the hush. The passage opened into a chamber smaller still, a vault of knowledge. Shelves of stone lined the walls, their surfaces warped and split. Among them, fragments of scrolls clung in folds of darkness. Their edges curled, words dissolved into shadow. For women who tended this place, preserving knowledge against the tide of forgetting, this was a sacred task. Now the sea carries those words in currents unseen. At the chamber's center, a single lectern stood. Its frame was bent, corners traced with the delicate lattice of salt. Upon it rested the remains of a tome, its cover dark with age, pages fused to brittle layers. A single corner lifted, moving faintly with each slow breath of the deep. A moment of slow time. The page stirred, once, twice, then lay still. Around it, the silence held. Beyond the vault, the path continued. Steps led downward once more, spiraling into depths unseen. Each step worn, edges smoothed by centuries of passage. Here, light faded to near nothing. Only the faintest glow remained. Reflections caught upon the spiral of a shell, the gleam of a fish's eye. For peasants, who never walked this far, this place was legend, the heart of the city unseen by common eyes. Now it waits in silence, its purpose veiled beneath the breath of stone. The stair ended in a narrow landing. Ahead a door stood sealed, stone banded with iron, its surface traced with faint sigils. The metal bloomed with rust, edges softened by salt, and beneath worn velvet, the keys sang faintly once more. The sealed door stood before the landing, heavy, silent. Iron bands traced its surface, now furred with salt and time. The stone beneath bore faint sigils, circles within circles, spirals folding into themselves. Each mark worn, the meaning long since faded into the hush of the deep. For scribes, this was a boundary. Beyond lay the inner sanctum, space reserved for those entrusted with the city's deepest knowledge. Now the door waits, patient beneath the breath of the sea. No hand stirs its surface, yet from within a faint pull remains, a pressure in the water, a slow call. At the threshold the sea breathes heavier. Shadows thicken. Faint echoes trace unseen paths through the stone. Then, a shift, a tremor subtle as breath. The door stirs. Iron groans, a deep, slow sound. Silt coils upward in lazy spirals, and the door swings inward. Beyond, darkness wide, endless, a vast chamber, the deep archive, its ceiling lost to shadow. Columns rise, thick as towers, their surfaces woven with coral and shell. Between them the water moves in heavy folds, slow and cold. Stone shelves stretch into the gloom, tier upon tier, each bearing the remnants of scrolls and tablets. Many lie dissolved, their words vanished. Others remain, fragments caught between stone and time. For women, archivists, keepers of memory, this was a place of reverence, of endless care. Now the sea alone turns these pages. At the chamber's heart, a great table stands, carved from a single slab of stone, its surface worn smooth. Upon it, scattered scrolls, bone styluses, shards of pottery etched with lines that fade into silence. A moment of slow time. One scroll, half opened, edge curled, moves faintly with each pulse of unseen current. Tiny air bubbles cling to its surface, rising in trembling arcs. Along the far wall, a staircase winds upward, narrow, steep, each step worn by countless feet. For soldiers, some came here in service of kings to guard what lay beyond. They left their marks, names carved along the railing, small notches counting days unseen. The stair ends beneath a low arch. Beyond it, a smaller chamber, round, domed, its walls traced with faded murals. Scenes of sea and sky, of ships beneath stars, of figures crowned with light. Between them, faint inscriptions curl like smoke, words in a tongue now lost, yet their shapes still hum faintly beneath the eye. At the chamber's center, a pedestal rises. Upon it, a single orb of glass, clouded with age. Within, shadow and light coil in slow dance, shapes folding and fading in rhythm unseen. A moment of slow time. The orb breathes beneath the eye, dark, light, dark again. Around it the hush deepens. For pilgrims, this was the heart of the city's mystery. They came with offerings, with whispered prayers. Now no voice disturbs the stillness. Beyond the chamber a narrow corridor stretches outward. Its floor tilts gently upward. Here carvings return, waves, stars, flowing script. For merchants, this path led toward the council vaults. Through these halls passed treaties, oaths sealed in gold and blood. Now their weight lies forgotten beneath the tide. Halfway along the corridor, a side alcove opens. Within, a small shrine, simple. Stone bench, faded tapestry, a single bowl now home to flickering fish. Upon the bench, a folded robe remains, its fabric pale, edges trailing in the current. Beneath it, a slender dagger, its hilt wrapped in sea-softened leather. A moment of slow time. The dagger gleams faintly as fish weave through its hollow hilt. Shadows coil beneath its blade. The path rises further. Steps grow wide once more. Ahead light thickens, pale, wavering. At its end, another door. Stone framed in iron, half open. Beyond it, faint glimmers trace the edges of a vast, unseen space. And through the pale archways, silence gathered once again. The door stood half open, its frame bent beneath the weight of centuries. Beyond lay the Hall of Kings, a space vast, cold, sunken deep beneath the breath of the sea. Light reached here in pale, broken shafts, wandering through cracks above. They wove slow paths across the water, touching stone and shadow. The hall stretched wide. Columns rose like ancient trees, their trunks wrapped in layers of coral and shell. Between them statues stood, tall, silent, veiled in time. For pilgrims, this was a place of reverence. They came in long procession, bearing incense and song. Now only the hush of the sea moves through these hollow ranks. Along the hall's length, great thrones stood upon a dais, stone and bronze, their surfaces dulled by salt and years. Upon each throne a figure remained, carved in life's image, crowned in stone, eyes blind beneath the sea's breath, robes stiff with coral, fingers outstretched, frozen in gesture unseen. For women, queens once sat beside these kings. Their voices shaped the city's fate. Now they watch in silence, arms entwined with threads of seaweed. The dais itself lay cracked, one corner fallen away into darkness below. Upon its edge a single crown rested, tilted, its gold veiled in green. Small fish darted through its hollow, weaving pale threads in the dark. A moment of slow time. The crown shifted faintly with the pull of the tide. Tiny air bubbles rose, slow and sure, drifting toward the unseen sky. Beneath the dais, steps led downward, broad at first, then narrowing. The descent vanished into shadow, where no light reached. For soldiers, these stairs marked the path to the tombs. They guarded it well. Now the sea alone keeps watch. The first landing opened into a gallery. Its walls bore carvings, scenes of rulers past, their deeds traced in stone and line. Armies marched beneath banners, ships sailed beneath stars. Faces gazed outward, calm, proud, now pitted and worn by the sea's slow touch. Along the floor, shards of mosaic remained, geometric patterns broken beneath silt and shell. A single tile, blue as deep water, caught the eye amid the pale drift. A moment of slow time, the tile gleamed softly. Around it, shadows folded and unfolded with the sea's breath. Beyond the gallery, a narrow arch led into the Hall of Records. Stone shelves lined the walls, many collapsed. Scrolls long dissolved, their words scattered into the water's weave. For scribes, this was the city's memory. Here they recorded oaths, births, deaths, decrees. Now memory drifts in silence. At the hall's center stood a lone pedestal. Upon it, a sealed jar of glass, clouded with age. Within, faint strands of gold floated, symbols of office, now lost to any hand. A moment of slow time. The strands shimmered, folding and unfolding, caught in a dance unseen. Beyond the records, a final passage curved downward, its walls traced with spirals, wave upon wave folding into dark. For peasants, none walked this path, only those bound by oath, by blood. Now the path waits, patient beneath the tide. The spiral ended at a gate of iron half open. Through it, a crypt, broad and cold. Stone sarcophagi lined the space, some sealed, some shifted. Their lids bore faded names, their faces worn to shadow. Between them, offerings lay scattered, coins dulled to green, broken figurines, withered garlands. A moment of slow time. One coin spun slowly upon the floor, caught in the sea's unseen breath. Around it, small creatures traced their endless dance. Beyond the crypt, another arch beckoned. Its keystone bore a single symbol, circle within circle, a mark long forgotten. And through the silent gate, the breath of stone waited still. Through the arch, the path bent once more, narrow, close, pressed by stone. The sea grew heavier here, darker, each breath of the tide slow, deep, patient. The corridor sloped downward, spiraling through ancient rock. Walls closed in, veined with quartz that caught the faintest shimmer of unseen light. For scribes, these were the inner ways, marked only on secret charts. Few walked them in life. Now, only the sea remembers. The floor beneath was worn smooth, stone polished by countless feet. Along its edges, tiny shells clung in fragile clusters, pale and soft beneath the eye. A moment of slow time. One shell drifted loose, rising in lazy arcs through the dark. Further down, the path widened once more, opening into a chamber small, round, and cold. Its ceiling domed, traced with faded gold. Patterns of stars once shone here, guides for those who read the heavens. Now only faint gleams remained, glimpsed through drifting veils of silt. At the chamber's heart, a pool lay still, shallow, stone-rimmed. Within its depths, clear water held the hush of time. For women, this was a place of seeing. Here visions stirred beneath the surface. Now the pool dreams alone. Beside it, a bench of stone remained. Upon it, a small comb, ivory turned pale with age. Threads of hair, long silvered, clung to its teeth. A moment of slow time. The threads drifted faintly, weaving through the water's slow breath. Beyond the chamber, the spiral deepened. Steps carved into rock led downward, each edge softened beneath centuries of tide. Here, inscriptions marked the walls, lines of script now blurred, their meanings dissolved into the hush. For soldiers, these words spoke of vows, of loyalty bound by blood and breath. Now no oath remains, save that of stone. The stair ended at a threshold, a low arch carved with signs worn near smooth. Beyond it lay the chamber of echoes, a vast space, hollow beneath the weight of the sea. Columns rose in concentric rings, their surfaces laced with coral. Between them, shadows moved, slow, coiling, unseen. For pilgrims, this chamber was a place of voice. Here they sang, their words rising beneath the dome. Now only echoes drift, caught in the sea's weave. At the chamber's center, a great gong hung, bronze turned green, its face traced with faded marks. No hand stirs it now, yet from time to time the sea moves it, a sound low, deep, rolling through the hollow dark. A moment of slow time. The gong shifted. A tremor passed through stone and shadow. Tiny bubbles rose in its wake, drifting upward into silence. Around the chamber, niches lined the walls. Within them, offerings lay, bowls of stone, shards of glass, folded cloth, all veiled in layers of salt and silt. For merchants, here pacts were sealed beneath the sound of the gong. Now their words lie tangled in the sea's breath. A single niche remained open, empty, its edges worn by countless touch. A place once held sacred, now its purpose lost to the deep. Beyond the chamber, another stair wound upward, narrow, steep, each step traced with faint lines, stars, waves, circles folding upon circles. For peasants, stories spoke of this stair. Few believed it reached so deep. Fewer still returned to speak of what lay beyond. The stair ended at a doorway of stone, plain, unmarked, its surface veiled in moss. Beyond it, the path waited once more, and across the cold beams, shadows gathered in silence. The stone doorway stood silent, plain, unmarked. Beyond it, the path turned once more, rising now, slow and narrow, through the breath of stone. The stair was steep, each step worn beneath the passage of unseen feet. Along its edges, fine layers of salt traced faint lines, white veins winding through the dark. For scribes, this stair was a passage between worlds. Above lay the city of light, below the city of shadow. Now both sleep beneath the sea. The walls pressed close, carved from ancient rock. No adornment, no word, only the weight of time, the hush of the deep. A moment of slow time. A single thread of seaweed drifted from a crack, coiling in slow spirals, caught in the tide's breath. The stair rose higher, curving with each turn. The light thinned to near nothing. Only a faint, pulsing glow remained, echo of distant stars unseen. At last the stair opened into a small landing. A single door faced the ascent, wood turned dark with age, its iron bands traced with rust. For soldiers, this was a final post. Here they stood, unseen, unheard, watching a city now long vanished. The door hung ajar. Beyond it, a chamber narrow, lined with stone benches. Above, a slit window opened to the sea beyond. Pale light filtered through, shafts of silver cutting across the water. Within their glow, motes of silt turned to falling stars. For women, this chamber was a place of vigil. They kept watch here, weaving tales from the dark. Now only shadows remain. Along one bench a spindle lay, its thread unwound, trailing through the water. Beside it a small basket rested, its weave softened by the sea. Within, a bundle of faded cloth. A moment of slow time. The cloth stirred faintly, edges folding, unfolding with the tide's unseen breath. The chamber led to a corridor, narrow, straight, its floor worn beneath countless steps. Along its walls, faint carvings lingered, waves, stars, spirals turning inward. For pilgrims, this was the path to the oracle's gate. They walked it in silence, breath held beneath the stone. The corridor ended at a gate of bronze, tarnished to green, its bars traced with the sea's slow touch. Through it, a vast space opened. The oracle's hall. Columns rose like pillars of the deep, their surfaces wrapped in tendrils of coral. Between them, shadows folded and unfolded, slow as breath. For merchants, this hall was a place of seeking. They came with gold, with questions. Now the sea alone whispers answers. At the hall's heart, a dais stood. Upon it, a single figure remained, stone-robed, gaze lifted, hands outstretched. Time had worn its face near smooth. Yet beneath the sea's hush, its presence lingered, watchful, waiting. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles rose from the stone hands, drifting upward through the cold dark. Around the dais, the floor was marked with lines, circles within circles, each traced in gold now dulled with age. For peasants, these marks spoke of fate. They cast offerings here, coins, bread, small tokens of hope. Now the offerings lie beneath the silt. A single coin remained, bright amid the pale drift. Its edge caught the light, turning faintly with the sea's breath. Beyond the hall, a narrow arch led upward. The path climbed once more, winding through rock veined with faint glimmers. For scribes, they walked this way with care, scrolls bound in oilcloth, eyes turned inward. The stair rose higher, the sea pressed close, shadows deepened. At its end, another door awaited, stone traced with circles folding into dark. Beyond it, a space unseen, and beneath the unseen vault a forgotten breath lingered still. The stone door stood before the rising stair, its surface worn, edges softened beneath the breath of the sea. Faint spirals traced the stone, patterns folding into shadow. For scribes, this was the final threshold. Beyond it, knowledge bound in silence. Now the sea holds its vigil here. No hand moved to open the door. Yet beneath its weight, a faint tremor passed. The stone shifted, slow, deep, a breath long held. The door parted. Beyond lay the astral vault, a vast dome carved into the rock. Its ceiling rose high, unseen. The sea's breath thickened here, dark, cold, endless. Pillars ringed the space, 12 in all, each carved with stars and waves. Between them, shadows moved, slow coils beneath the tide. For women, this vault was a place of weaving. They cast the stars in thread and stone, shaping fate with unseen hands. Now their patterns drift unseen. At the vault's heart, a great disk of stone lay upon the floor, its surface traced with gold, lines folding inward, outward, spiraling through time. For merchants, this disk marked the turning of fortune. They sought its reading with coin and word. Now no voice disturbs its pattern. A moment of slow time. Upon the disk a single pearl rested, round, pale, unmoved. Tiny air bubbles clung to its surface, drifting upward in trembling arcs. Around the vault alcoves opened, small chambers veiled in shadow. Within them, shelves of stone remained, their contents veiled in salt and silt. For soldiers, these alcoves held records of war and peace. Now only the sea traces their lines. One alcove held a single tablet, its surface dark, its script faint. A record of pact, of oath sealed in deep time, a moment of slow time. The script shimmered faintly as fish wove through the dark. Beyond the alcoves, a stair wound upward once more, narrow, steep, each step worn beneath unseen feet. For peasants, they spoke of this stair in whispers. It rose to the eye, a place unseen by common gaze. The stair climbed through rock veined with light, quartz and stone folding together. Each breath of the sea moved in slow waves, echoing through the stone. At its end, a chamber small and round. Its walls bore no mark, only the hush of the deep remained. A single pedestal stood at its heart. Upon it, a sphere of glass, clear, cold, its core dark with swirling light. For scribes, this sphere held visions. Now its gaze turns inward, unseen. A moment of slow time. The sphere pulsed faintly, light and shadow folding, fading, returning. Beyond the chamber a narrow path led onward. Here stone gave way to metal, iron corroded, bands traced with salt. A door stood at its end. Half open, its frame bent beneath unseen weight. Through it, the path opened wide, a gallery long and dark. Its walls bore niches, each holding a single statue. Figures robed, crowned, their faces veiled in coral and time. For pilgrims, this was a path of memory. They passed in silence, gaze lowered. Now only shadows linger here. At the gallery's end, a single arch awaited, tall, broad, traced with circles folding into the dark. Beyond it, a stair turned downward, spiraling into unseen depths. For women, this path led to the chamber of song. Few heard its voice in life. Now the sea carries its echo. The stair vanished into shadow. The sea's breath deepened, and through the unseen corridors a single note waited still. The spiral stair turned downward, folding into the deep. Stone walls closed close, their surfaces veined with quartz and salt. Each breath of the sea moved slow, pressing inward. The path was narrow, each step worn beneath unseen feet. Along the walls faint marks remained, lines traced by hand, a record of passage long forgotten. For scribes, these were the final steps. They carried the city's last words here. Now silence writes alone. The stair wound deeper. Shadows thickened. Light faded to near nothing. A moment of slow time. A single thread of seaweed drifted downward, caught in the tide's unseen breath. At last, the stair opened. The chamber of song, a vast space hollow beneath the sea's weight. Its ceiling rose unseen. Columns circled the space, 12, each carved with waves and stars. Between them, the water moved in slow folds, dark, cold, endless. For women, this was a place of voice. They wove the city's song here, binding memory and sound. Now the sea sings alone. At the chamber's heart, a dais stood. Upon it, a great harp, its frame of gold, strings long dissolved. Coral traced its form, weaving new strings unseen. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles rose through the harp's frame, drifting upward in trembling arcs. Around the dais, benches circled, stone worn smooth by countless touch. Upon them, fragments remained, broken flutes, shattered lyres, coils of faded thread. For pilgrims, this was a place of offering. They came with song, with word. Now their voices drift unseen. Beyond the chamber, a narrow path opened, its floor traced with spirals folding into dark. The sea pressed close here, each breath slow, deep. For merchants, this path led to the vault of names, a place of oath, of memory bound in stone. The corridor ended at a great door, stone and bronze, its surface traced with countless names. Some clear, others worn beneath the sea's slow touch, a record of the city's breath. The door stood ajar. Beyond it, a space vast and cold, the vault of names. Walls rose high, each traced with script, lines folding inward, outward, weaving through stone. For scribes, this was the heart of memory. They carved each name here, binding it beneath the tide. A moment of slow time. One name shimmered faintly, caught in a shaft of unseen light. Around it, shadows folded, faded, returned. At the vault's heart, a single pedestal rose. Upon it, a sealed jar, glass clouded with age, its core dark. Within, faint strands of gold drifted, bindings of oath, now lost to any hand. For soldiers, these strands marked loyalty. Now their promise drifts alone. Beyond the vault, a stair rose once more, narrow, steep, each step traced with faint lines, stars, waves, circles folding into shadow. For peasants, stories spoke of this stair in whispers. It rose to the chamber of dawn. The stair climbed through rock veined with faint light. A moment of slow time. Tiny creatures wove through the stone, their paths folding in unseen dance. At its end, a door awaited, plain stone traced with a single spiral. Beyond it, a space unseen, and beneath the breath of stone, a voice waited still. The plain door stood before the stair's end. stone traced with a single spiral, one line folding endlessly inward. Beyond it, the Chamber of Dawn, a place few had seen, a place where stone remembered light. For scribes, this was the final vault. They came here alone, bearing the city's last words. Now the sea holds their song. The door parted with a sound deep as breath. Beyond, the chamber opened wide, round, domed, hollow beneath the sea's weight. Its ceiling rose unseen, yet here light remained. High above, a single shaft pierced the stone, an ancient well of air now filled with the sea's breath. Through it, light drifted, pale, slow, silver. It touched the chamber's heart, an altar of stone, low and broad, its surface worn smooth. Upon it, a single object remained, a mirror of obsidian, dark as the deep. Around it, the light folded and faded, shadows moving slow across its face. A moment of slow time. The mirror shimmered, light and dark weaving, returning. Around the altar, the floor bore marks, lines traced in gold now dulled, circles folding within circles, a map of stars unseen. For women, they wove these lines with care, binding time in their pattern. Now the sea holds their weaving. The chamber's walls bore faint carvings, figures robed, hands raised, eyes turned upward, their faces worn near smooth, yet their gaze remained. For pilgrims, this place held hope. They came with light, with word. Now silence holds their prayer. A single bench remained against the wall. Upon it, a folded cloth, deep blue, edges trailing in the tide. Beneath it, a book lay, its cover dark, its pages sealed beneath salt and time. A moment of slow time. The cloth stirred faintly, pages beneath it shifting, stilled. Beyond the chamber, a narrow stair wound upward, its steps worn, edges traced with faint script. For merchants, they sought this path in dreams, never in waking. It rose to the watcher's gate. The stair climbed through stone veined with quartz. Each breath of the sea moved slow, pressing inward. At its end, a gate of iron stood, bent, half open. Beyond it, the sea lay wide, a cavern vast, its roof lost in shadow. Stone ledges circled its walls, each traced with marks unseen. Here the sea moved heavy, folds of dark and light weaving through the space. For soldiers, this cavern held the city's breath. They guarded it with care. Now the sea alone keeps watch. A bridge of stone crossed the cavern's heart, narrow, arched, worn beneath unseen feet. Upon it, small figures stood, statues robed, hands clasped, their faces veiled in coral and shadow. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles rose from their clasped hands, drifting upward in trembling arcs. Beneath the bridge, the cavern fell away, deep, unseen. Shadows folded within shadows, breath caught in the deep. For peasants, this place was legend, a space where stone and sea became one. Beyond the bridge, a stair rose once more, broad, winding upward into dark. Along its walls, faint carvings remained, waves, stars, circles folding inward. A single torch bracket still held its place, iron traced with rust, empty. A moment of slow time. The bracket shifted faintly with the tide's unseen breath. At the stair's end, a door of stone awaited, plain, unmarked. Beyond it, the path continued, and beneath the breath of the deep, silence gathered once more. The plain door stood before the stair's end. No mark, no script, only the weight of stone and silence. For scribes, this was the hidden gate. Beyond it lay the forgotten vault. Now the sea keeps its secret. The door shifted with a sound deep and low, stone moving slow beneath unseen breath. Beyond, the path opened wide, a corridor long and straight, its walls traced with faint carvings, spirals folding inward, waves upon waves. Here the sea pressed close. Shadows moved with each breath of the tide. For women, this was a path of memory. They walked it with care, bearing words unseen. The floor beneath lay smooth, stone polished beneath countless steps. Along its edges, small shells clung in pale clusters. A moment of slow time. One shell drifted loose, rising in slow arcs through the dark. Midway along the corridor, a chamber opened, small, round, domed. Its ceiling bore a single mark, a star of gold, now dulled beneath salt and time. For pilgrims, this chamber held the breath of the deep. They came here with offering, with silence. Now no voice disturbs its hush. At the chamber's heart a brazier stood. Iron turned green, its coals long cold. Beside it a bowl of stone remained. Within a single pearl, pale, unmoved. A moment of slow time. The pearl shimmered faintly, light folding and unfolding within. Beyond the chamber the corridor continued, its walls marked with faint lines, script now lost to meaning. For merchants, these lines once held trade in word and sign. Now their pattern drifts unseen. At the corridor's end, a door of bronze awaited, its surface traced with circles folding into dark. The door hung ajar. Beyond it, the forgotten vault. A space vast and hollow, its ceiling unseen, lost within the sea's breath. Pillars ringed the space, 12 in all, their surfaces laced with coral and shell. Between them, shelves of stone rose high, tier upon tier, each bearing fragments of scroll and tablet. For scribes, this vault held the city's breath. Here they bound its story in stone and word. Now silence writes alone. At the vault's heart a single pedestal stood. Upon it a sealed jar, glass clouded, strands of gold drifting within. A moment of slow time. The strands shimmered, folding and unfolding with each breath of the deep. Around the vault alcoves opened, small chambers veiled in shadow. Within them offerings lay, bowls of stone, shards of glass, coils of faded thread. For soldiers, these offerings marked vow and blade. Now the sea holds their weight. One alcove held a single sword, its blade dark with rust, hilt wrapped in pale leather. A moment of slow time. Tiny bubbles traced its edge, rising slow through the hush. Beyond the vault a stair wound upward, narrow, steep, traced with faint marks unseen. For peasants, they spoke of this stair in stories. It rose to the chamber of silence. The stair climbed through stone veined with faint light, each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end a door of stone awaited, plain, unmarked. Beyond it the path continued, and beneath worn stone the breath of memory stirred once more. The unmarked door stood in stillness, stone against stone. No hand to open, no voice to call, and yet the tide moved. The breath of the sea shifted. A tremor, deep and soft, passed through the waiting stone. Slowly the door yielded. Beyond it, the chamber of silence. A space vast yet narrow, long, vaulted. Its walls rose high, bare stone, veined with salt and shadow. No sound passed here. The sea's breath moved thick and slow, folding the space in layers of stillness. For scribes, this was the final path. Here they left what could not be spoken. Now the sea carries their unspoken word. The floor beneath was smooth, stone worn beneath unseen feet. Pale silt traced soft patterns across its surface, swirls folding into shadow. A moment of slow time. One swirl shifted faintly, folding inward, vanishing. Along the chamber's length, niches lined the walls, deep, dark, empty. For women, these niches held the city's last lights, lamps of oil, now long cold, their flame gone to the deep. One niche still bore a frame of iron, its lamp shattered, glass scattered across stone. Among the shards a single drop of oil clung, dark, unmoved. A moment of slow time. The drop shimmered, holding the breath of 1,000 lost flames. At the chamber's heart, a dais rose. Low, broad, plain stone. Upon it a single scroll lay, its parchment dark, edges curled. Bound in faded thread, sealed in wax worn near smooth. For pilgrims, this scroll held the city's last song. None were left to sing it. Now the sea holds its refrain. Around the dais the floor bore faint marks, lines traced in circles, folding inward to stillness. For merchants, they once cast offerings here, coins, bread, small tokens of hope. Now those hopes drift beneath the tide. A single coin remained. Gold dulled to green, it lay flat upon stone, untouched. A moment of slow time. The coin caught a faint gleam, turning softly in the sea's breath. Beyond the dais, a narrow stair rose once more, spiraling upward through the weight of stone. For soldiers, this stair led to the outer vault, a place few returned from. Now it waits in the hush. The stair climbed through stone rough-hewn, close-pressed. Each step veined with quartz that caught the faintest shimmer of unseen light. At its end, a door stood, iron-banded, its surface traced with sigils faded beneath the sea's touch. The door hung slightly ajar. Beyond it, the outer vault, a cavern wide and hollow, its walls ringed with ledges, each bearing fragments of the city's breath. Stone tablets, bronze discs, shards of glass etched with line and word, all veiled now in layers of salt and shadow. For scribes, this was a vault of remembrance. They cast here what could not be lost. At the vault's heart, a pillar rose, tall, plain. Upon it a single object remained, a crown of reeds, long dried, edges curled and pale. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles clung to its weave, rising slow through the hush. Around the vault, small alcoves opened, each holding a single relic. For women, these relics held memory. Now they sleep beneath the tide. One alcove held a single bell, bronze turned green, its tongue stilled. A moment of slow time. The bell shifted faintly. A sound too deep to hear passed through stone and sea. Beyond the vault, a final path led upward, its walls close, veined with faint light. For peasants, no tale spoke of this path. It rose to where sea and stone became one. The stair climbed in silence, and beneath the breath of the deep, a forgotten light flickered alone. The stair wound upward through the rock, each step narrow, close-pressed. Walls veined with quartz and salt traced the path in silent light. For scribes, this was the path unseen, a way between vault and sky. Now only shadows walk its spiral. The sea's breath pressed close here. Water moved thick, slow, folding sound and light into hush. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles traced the stone, rising in trembling arcs. Higher still, the stair turned. Marks along its walls faded to near nothing, lines folding inward, vanishing beneath the sea's touch. For women, they walked this stair in ritual, unseen by those above. Now the rite drifts beneath the tide. The path rose steep. At each turn the sea pressed heavier. The breath of the deep grew cold. At last the stair ended. A doorway narrow, its frame plain, stone veiled in layers of salt and shadow. Beyond it, the sea chapel, a chamber small and round, its ceiling low, traced with faint stars. Here the sea held its breath. Water lay thick, unmoving, a hush bound in stone. For pilgrims, this was the city's highest shrine. They came here with silence, with breath held. Now no voice stirs its air. At the chamber's heart a basin stood, stone hollowed by unseen hands. Within it clear water remained, still, cold, untouched. A moment of slow time. The water's surface shimmered, folding light and dark. Around the basin benches circled, stone worn smooth by countless touch. Upon them, fragments lay, broken beads, coils of faded thread, a single feather pale as bone. For peasants, they left small hopes here. Now those hopes drift unseen. One bench held a folded cloth, edges frayed, deep blue. Beneath it a single coin, silver dulled to green. A moment of slow time. The coin caught a faint gleam, turning softly in the sea's breath. Beyond the chapel a narrow path led onward, its walls close, veined with faint light. For merchants, this path rose toward the hall of the eye, a place of unseen watching. The corridor climbed through stone rough-hewn, pressed close by the sea's weight. At its end a door stood, plain stone traced with a single eye. The door parted with a breath long held. Beyond it, the hall of the eye, a space wide, domed, hollow beneath the sea's breath. Its ceiling bore a single opening, high above, a shaft where light once fell. Now the sea filled its depth. Pale beams wandered downward, silver threads folding through the dark. For scribes, this was a place of record. They watched here as tide and time turned. At the hall's heart a dais stood. Upon it, a great disk of stone, its surface traced with stars and waves. A moment of slow time. The disk shimmered faintly. Tiny air bubbles traced its edge. Around the dais alcoves opened, each holding fragments of memory. For women, they wove tales here in thread and song. Now the sea holds their refrain. One alcove bore a single mask, gold dulled beneath salt, its face calm, eyes closed. A moment of slow time. The mask shifted faintly. Light folded through its gaze. Beyond the hall a stair wound downward once more, narrow, steep. Each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. For soldiers, they guarded this path in silence. Now stone alone holds its watch. At its end a door of bronze awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it the path continued, and through the unseen corridors soft footsteps echoed. The bronze door stood beneath the stair's end, its surface traced with faint spirals, lines folding inward, vanishing beneath the sea's breath. For scribes, this door marked the threshold. Beyond it lay the deep ways. Now only silence knows their path. A tremor passed through stone and tide. The door shifted, slow, deep, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a corridor narrow, dark, its walls pressed close, bare stone veined with salt and shadow. For women, this was a path of descent. They walked it with steps unseen. Now the sea holds their memory. The floor beneath was smooth, stone worn beneath countless feet. Along its edges pale silt gathered in soft folds. A moment of slow time. One fold shifted faintly, breath caught and released. Further on the corridor widened, the chamber of threads, a space round, hollow beneath the deep, its ceiling low, traced with lines folding an endless pattern. For scribes, this was a place of weaving. They bound time here in thread and word. At the chamber's heart, a loom remained, its frame of wood now veiled in coral and shell. Threads hung pale and frayed, drifting in the sea's breath. A moment of slow time. One thread moved faintly, folding and unfolding in slow dance. Around the loom, benches circled, stone worn smooth, surfaces traced with marks unseen. For pilgrims, they left tokens here, beads, rings, coils of thread. Now those offerings drift in silence. One bench bore a single ring, iron turned dark, its surface etched with line and word. A moment of slow time. The ring gleamed faintly, shadow folding across its face. Beyond the chamber, a stair wound downward, spiraling through stone veined with faint light. For merchants, this path led toward the pool of memory. a place where past and present wove. The stair narrowed, walls closed close. The sea pressed heavier with each breath. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, unmarked. Beyond it, the pool of memory, a cavern wide and deep. Its floor hollowed, filled with water clear as the deep. Light drifted from above, pale threads folding through the dark. For soldiers, they watched here in silence. No voice disturbed the pool. At its heart, the water lay still. Within it, images stirred, shapes folding, fading, returning. A moment of slow time. A single face rose within the pool, eyes closed, breath stilled, then faded once more. Around the pool, stone benches stood. Upon them, fragments remained, scrolls dissolved, tablets cracked, small figures worn to shadow. For women, they sang here, binding word to water. Now the sea carries their refrain. One bench held a single flute, its bone pale, edges traced with faint line. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles traced its length, rising in soft arcs. Beyond the pool, a narrow stair rose, steep, close pressed. For peasants, no tale spoke of this path. It climbed to the chamber of stars. The stair turned through stone veined with light. Each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end, a door of iron stood, half open, its frame bent beneath unseen weight. Beyond it, the path continued, and beneath worn stone, the breath of time stirred faintly still. The iron door stood half open, its frame bent beneath the weight of unseen years. Salt traced pale veins across the metal, spirals folding inwards, patterns lost to time. For scribes, this was the gate of sky. Beyond it, stars once spoke in silence. Now only the sea listens. The door yielded beneath the tide's breath. A sound low, slow, folded into the hush. Beyond, the path rose once more. A stair narrow, winding upward through stone veined with light. Each step worn beneath countless feet. For women, this stair was a path of watching. They climbed with eyes raised, bearing word unseen. Now their gaze drifts beneath the deep. The sea pressed close. Water moved thick, slow, folding light into shadow. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles traced the stone, rising in trembling arcs. Higher still, the stair turned. Marks along its walls faded to near nothing. Lines folding inward, vanishing beneath salt and breath. At last, the stair ended. A door stood before the sky, stone traced with stars, circles within circles folding outward. Beyond it, the chamber of stars, a space wide, domed, hollow beneath the sea's breath. Its ceiling rose unseen. High above, a shaft once open to night. Now the sea filled its depth, light folding downward in silver threads. For pilgrims, this was the city's eye. They gathered here beneath the stars. Now those stars drift unseen. At the chamber's heart, a great disk of stone lay upon the floor, its surface traced with gold, lines folding in spiral, a map of sky and sea. A moment of slow time. One line shimmered faintly, folding light and dark. Around the disk, stone benches circled. Upon them, fragments remained, astrolabes dulled by salt, coils of faded thread, small figures worn to shadow. For scribes, they charted time here. Now the sea keeps their chart. One bench held a single sphere, glass clouded, its core dark. A moment of slow time. The sphere pulsed faintly, breath caught and released. Beyond the chamber, a stair wound downward, spiraling through stone veined with faint light. For merchants, this path led toward the garden of silence, a place of unseen growth. The stair narrowed, walls pressed close, the sea's breath deepened. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, marked with a single leaf. Beyond it, the garden of silence. A cavern wide, walls veiled in coral and shell. Soft light drifted from unseen cracks. Here, plants moved slow in the tide, kelp folding through water, pale flowers blooming in the hush. For women, this was a place of tending. They wove green and gold beneath the sea. Now the garden breathes alone. At its heart a pool lay still. Within it, tendrils of pale kelp traced slow patterns. A moment of slow time. A single petal drifted downward, folding through shadow. Around the pool, stone paths wound through growth. Upon them, fragments lay, broken pots, faded tools, coils of thread veiled in silt. For peasants, they whispered of this place, a garden unseen, where breath wove with stone. One path led to a single bench, its surface traced with faint marks. Upon it a basket lay, woven, its weave pale and soft. Within a single seed rested, dark, unmoved. A moment of slow time. Tiny bubbles traced the seed's edge, rising slow through the hush. Beyond the garden a stair rose once more, steep, close pressed. For soldiers, this stair led to the Watcher's Hollow, a place of unseen vigil. The stair climbed through stone veined with dark, each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end a door of bronze awaited, traced with faint eyes. Beyond it the path continued, and beneath the unseen vault, shadows gathered in silence. The door of bronze stood at the stair's end, its surface traced with faint eyes, wide, watching, unseen. For scribes, this was the gate of vigil. Beyond it, the unseen kept their watch. Now the sea alone remembers. A tremor passed through stone and tide. The door shifted, slow, deep, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair of stone, narrow, worn. Each step traced with faint line, circles folding inward, outward. For women, they climbed here in silence, bearing word unspoken. Now only the tide bears their song. The sea pressed close. Shadows moved thick and slow, folding breath into hush. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles rose through the stair's dark, trembling. Higher still, the stair wound. Marks along its walls faded, spirals vanishing beneath salt and time. At last, the stair opened. The Watcher's Hollow. A space vast, hollow beneath the sea's breath, its ceiling unseen. Above, a shaft once open to sky, now filled with silver threads of light. Here the sea moved slow, heavy, breath folded through stone and shadow. For soldiers, this was a place of vigil. They kept watch here, unseen. Now the sea holds their gaze. Around the hollow, stone seats circled, 12, each marked with faded sigil. Upon them, figures sat, statues robed, eyes veiled in coral and shell. A moment of slow time. One eye gleamed faintly, folding light through the dark. At the hollow's heart, a single bell hung, bronze dulled, its tongue stilled. For pilgrims, they rang this bell in times of turning. Now its voice sleeps beneath the deep. A single thread of kelp traced the bell's frame, swaying soft in the sea's breath. A moment of slow time. Tiny bubbles traced its edge, rising in slow arcs. Beyond the hollow, a path led onward, narrow, veiled in shadow. For merchants, they feared this path. It led to the Vale of the Forgotten. The corridor pressed close, walls traced with faint mark, spirals folding in endless line. The sea grew cold, breath slowed. At its end a veil of kelp hung, pale, thin, drifting in hush. Beyond it the Vale of the Forgotten, a chamber round, hollow beneath stone and tide, its walls veiled in thread, lines of gold now dulled, weaving through coral and shell. For women they wove these threads in rite unseen, now they drift in the sea's breath. At the chamber's heart, a pool lay still. Within it, shadows stirred, faces folding, fading, returning. A moment of slow time. One face rose, eyes closed, lips parted and breath held, then faded once more. Around the pool, benches stood. Upon them, fragments lay, rings dulled, beads pale, coils of thread. For scribes, they wrote here in silence, binding word to water. One bench bore a single quill, its point veiled in salt, its feather pale as bone. A moment of slow time. The feather stirred faintly, breath folding through the dark. Beyond the veil a stair rose once more, steep, close pressed. For peasants. No tale spoke of this stair. It rose to the chamber of echoes. The stair climbed through stone veined with faint light. Each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end a door of stone awaited, traced with spirals folding inward. Beyond it the path continued, and through the forgotten corridors soft footsteps echoed. The door of stone stood at the stair's end, its surface traced with spirals, lines folding inward, coiling beneath salt and time. For scribes, this was the gate of echoes. Beyond it, voices once sang. Now only the sea listens. A breath passed through stone and tide. The door shifted, low, slow, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair of stone, wide, worn, veiled in hush. Walls rose high, bare stone veined with faint light. For women, they climbed this stair with voice and word. Now their song drifts beneath the tide. The sea pressed close. Shadows moved slow, folding light into breath unseen. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles traced the stair's edge, rising through the dark in trembling arcs. Higher still the stair wound. Marks faded, spirals folding inward, vanishing beneath salt and breath. At last, the stair opened. The chamber of echoes. A space vast, domed, hollow beneath the sea's breath. Its ceiling lost in shadow. Above, a shaft once open to sky, now filled with silvered threads of light. For pilgrims, this was a place of voice. They sang here beneath stone and tide. Now only echoes remain. At the chamber's heart, a dais stood. Upon it, a single bowl, stone hollowed, veiled in pale light. Within it, water lay still. A moment of slow time. The water shimmered, ripples folding outward, fading. Around the dais, benches circled, stone worn smooth by countless touch. Upon them, fragments remained, scrolls dissolved, flutes broken, coils of thread adrift. For scribes, they wrote here in sound and line. Now the sea binds their word. One bench bore a single lyre, its frame veiled in coral, strings long faded. A moment of slow time. The lyre stirred faintly, breath folding through its frame. Beyond the chamber a path led onward, narrow, close, veiled in shadow. For merchants, they whispered of this path. It led to the garden of threads. The corridor pressed close, walls traced with faint mark, spirals folding in endless line. The sea moved cold, breath slowed. At its end an arch of stone, plain, marked with thread. Beyond it, the garden of threads, a space wide, walls veiled in kelp and coral. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks. Here, plants moved slow, threads folding through water, weaving patterns unseen. For women, this was a place of weaving. They shaped breath here in thread and line. Now the sea weaves alone. At the garden's heart, a loom stood, its frame of stone veiled in tendrils pale and soft. Upon it, threads hung, frayed, folding through the tide's breath. A moment of slow time. One thread drifted, folding, fading, returning. Around the loom, benches stood. Upon them, fragments lay, spindles pale, coils of thread dulled by salt. For peasants, they spoke of this garden in stories, a place where stone and breath became one. One bench bore a single spindle, its thread unwound, trailing soft through the dark. A moment of slow time. The thread stirred faintly, caught in the sea's hush. Beyond the garden a stair rose once more, narrow, steep. For soldiers, this stair led to the chamber of veil. The stair climbed through stone veined with light. Each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end a door of bronze awaited, half open, its frame bent. Beyond it the path continued, and beneath worn stone the keys sang faintly once more. The bronze door stood half open, its frame bent beneath unseen weight. Salt traced pale veins across its face, spirals folding inward, vanishing beneath time. For scribes, this was the gate of veil, beyond it paths unseen. Now the sea holds its breath here. The tide moved slow. A breath deep and patient passed through stone and water. The door shifted, low, soft, a breath drawn and released. Beyond, a stair wound upward, narrow, steep. Walls pressed close, bare stone veined with faint light. For women, they climbed this stair in silence, bearing word unseen. Now their steps echo beneath the tide. The sea pressed heavy. Shadows folded close, each breath slow, each step deep. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles clung to stone, rising soft through the hush. Higher still, the stair turned. Marks faded, spirals folding into dark. Stone breathed beneath unseen weight. At last, the stair opened. The chamber of veil. A space wide, hollow beneath the sea's breath, its ceiling lost to shadow. Above, pale light drifted, threads folding through the deep. For pilgrims, this was a place of stillness. They gathered here beneath the veil. Now only silence remains. Around the chamber long banners hung, woven of kelp and thread. They swayed slow in the tide's breath, threads folding and unfolding. At the chamber's heart a dais stood. Upon it a single veil, pale, translucent, drifting in soft arcs. A moment of slow time. The veil folded, shimmered, faded, returned. For scribes, they wrote here in shadow and thread. Now their words drift unseen. Around the dais benches stood. Upon them fragments remained. Scrolls dissolved, spindles pale, beads veiled in silt. One bench bore a single clasp, silver dulled to green, its edge traced with line unseen. A moment of slow time. The clasp caught faint light, folding through the hush. Beyond the chamber, a narrow path led onward, close, winding through stone. For merchants, this was a path of return, a way unseen. The corridor pressed close, walls traced with faint lines, spirals folding through dark. The sea moved slow, deep. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, marked with wave. Beyond it, the hall of tides. A space wide, walls veiled in coral and shell. Soft light moved through unseen cracks. Here, water folded in slow breath, tides moving through stone. For women, they gathered here in rite. Now the sea keeps their motion. At the hall's heart, a pool lay wide. Within it, tides moved, breath folding through deep. A moment of slow time. A single wave rose, soft, slow, folding outward, fading. Around the pool, stone ledges stood. Upon them, fragments lay, bowls of stone, coils of thread, beads pale as bone. For peasants, they spoke of this hall in whispers, a place where breath moved unseen. One ledge bore a single cup, its rim traced with salt, its hollow dark. A moment of slow time. The cup shifted faintly. A single bubble rose through the hush. Beyond the hall, a stair climbed once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, this stair led to the vault of breath. The stair wound through stone veined with faint light. Each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end, a door of stone awaited, traced with circles folding inward. Beyond it, the path continued. and in the hollow dark, the breath of stone grew stronger. The stone door stood silent, its surface traced with circles folding inward, marks worn soft beneath the sea's breath. For scribes, this was the gate of breath. Beyond it, air once moved unseen. Now the sea alone stirs its halls. A low tremor passed through stone and tide. The door shifted, slow, deep. A breath drawn, held, released. It parted. Beyond, a stair wound downward, steep, close pressed. Walls bare, stone veined with faint quartz. For women, they walked this stair with care, bearing light unseen. Now the sea carries their flame. The sea pressed heavy, shadows folded thick. Each step deep, each breath slow. A moment of slow time. A single air bubble traced the stair's edge, rising soft through shadow. Lower still, the stair turned. Marks faded, spirals folding into hush. Stone breathed beneath unseen weight. At last the stair opened. The vault of breath. A space wide, domed, hollow beneath the deep. Its ceiling rose unseen, lost in shadow and tide. Here the sea moved slow, breath folded through stone, soft, deep, endless. For pilgrims, this was a place of stillness. They gathered here to breathe as one. Now the sea holds their breath. Around the vault, great fans of stone rose, broad, curved, veiled in coral. Between them, water moved in slow waves, patterns folding through light. At the vault's heart, a platform stood. Upon it, a single mask, stone carved, its face calm. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles traced the mask's edge, rising through the hush. For scribes, they wrote here in breath. Now their word drifts unseen. Around the platform, benches stood. Upon them, fragments lay, scrolls dissolved, coils of thread pale, small vessels worn to shadow. One bench bore a single shell, its surface veiled in faint gold. A moment of slow time. The shell gleamed softly, shadows folded through its curve. Beyond the vault, a narrow stair rose, steep, winding upward. For merchants, this path led toward the chamber of reflection, a place where past met breath. The stair climbed through stone veined with faint light. Each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end, a door of bronze awaited, half open, edges traced with wave and line. Beyond it, the chamber of reflection, a space wide, walls veiled in mirrored stone. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks, threads folding through shadow. For women, they gathered here in silence, weaving breath and memory. At the chamber's heart, a pool lay still, its surface smooth as glass. Within it, faces folded and faded, reflections of what was, what would not return. A moment of slow time. One face rose, eyes closed, breath stilled, then faded once more. Around the pool, ledges circled. Upon them, fragments lay, rings dulled, coils of thread pale, small figures veiled in silt. For peasants, they spoke of this place in hush, a chamber where the past lingered. One ledge bore a single mirror, its silver veiled in salt. A moment of slow time, the mirror caught faint light, folding through the dark. Beyond the chamber, a stair climbed once more, narrow, steep. For soldiers, this stair led to the vault of echoes. The stair wound through stone, each breath deep, each step slow. At its end, a door of stone awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it, the path continued, and beneath worn velvet, the keys sang faintly once more. The door of stone stood beneath the stair's end, its surface traced with spirals, lines folding inward, marks worn beneath the sea's patient breath. For scribes, this was the gate of echoes. Beyond it, voices once lingered. Now the sea carries their soundless refrain, A low tremor passed through tide and stone. The door shifted, deep, slow, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair wound upward, narrow, steep, walls pressed close, stone veined with quartz. For women, they walked this stair with silence, weaving voice unseen. Now their footsteps drift beneath the tide. The sea pressed heavy, shadows folded close, each breath deep, each step slow, a moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles rose along stone, trembling in hush. Higher still, the stair turned. Marks faded, spirals folding into dark. Stone held its breath. At last, the stair opened. The vault of echoes. A space vast, domed, hollow beneath the sea's breath. Its ceiling lost in shadow. Above, faint light wandered, threads folding through the deep. For pilgrims, this was a place of voice. They sang here beneath stone and tide. Now only echoes remain. Around the vault, great horns of stone rose, broad, veiled in coral and shell. Between them, water moved in slow waves, breath folded through sound. At the vault's heart, a single stone stood, tall, plain, veiled in kelp. Upon it a small bell hung, bronze dulled, its tongue still. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles clung to the bell's frame, rising in soft arcs. For scribes, they wrote here in echo. Now their word hums beneath the tide. Around the stone, benches circled, stone worn smooth by countless touch. Upon them, fragments lay, scrolls dissolved, flutes broken, coils of thread pale. One bench bore a single chime, silver dulled to green, its voice stilled. A moment of slow time. The chime shifted faintly, shadows folding through its frame. Beyond the vault, a narrow stair led onward, close, steep. For merchants, this stair led toward the chamber of threads. The stair climbed through stone veined with faint light, each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end, a door of bronze awaited, half open, its edges traced with spiral. Beyond it, the chamber of threads, a space wide, walls veiled in woven kelp. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks. Here, threads folded in slow dance, woven through water and stone. For women, they shaped this weaving with voice and breath. Now the sea carries their song. At the chamber's heart a loom stood, its frame veiled in coral and shell. Threads hung pale and frayed, folding through the tide's breath. A moment of slow time. One thread shimmered faintly, breath folding through its line. Around the loom, benches stood. Upon them, fragments lay, spindles dulled, coils of thread pale, rings veiled in silt. For peasants, they whispered of this place, a garden where breath wove unseen. One bench bore a single clasp, silver traced with faint mark. A moment of slow time. The clasp caught faint light, folding through the dark. Beyond the chamber, a stair rose once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, this stair led to the watcher's chamber. The stair wound through stone, each breath slow, each step deep. At its end, a door of stone awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it, the path continued, and through forgotten corridors, soft footsteps echoed. The door of stone stood before the stair's end, its spirals traced faintly, lines folding inward beneath the sea's deep breath. For scribes, this was the gate of watching. Beyond it, eyes once kept silent vigil. Now only shadows watch. A tremor moved through stone and tide. The door shifted, low, patient, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair rose, narrow, steep, close pressed. Walls bare, stone veined with pale quartz. For women, this was a path of watching. They climbed here with breath held. Now their gaze lingers beneath the deep. The sea pressed heavy. shadows folded thick, each breath slow, each step deep. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles clung to the stair's edge, rising soft through the hush. Higher still the stair wound. Marks faded, spirals folding into dark. Stone held its breath. At last the stair opened. The watcher's chamber. A space wide, domed, hollow beneath the sea's breath. Its ceiling lost in shadow. Above, pale light wandered, silver threads folding through the deep. For pilgrims, this was a place of gaze. They stood here beneath the stone, eyes raised. Now only silence remains. Around the chamber, statues stood, robed figures, faces veiled in coral and shell. Each held a staff, its tip traced with spiral. For scribes, they shaped these figures in rite. Now their breath folds beneath the tide. At the chamber's heart, a single pedestal stood. Upon it, a sphere of glass, clouded, its core dark. A moment of slow time. Light folded through the sphere's depth, shimmering, fading. Around the pedestal, benches stood. Upon them, fragments lay, scrolls dissolved, coils of thread pale, small figures veiled in silt. One bench bore a single staff, its wood veiled in salt, spiral traced along its length. A moment of slow time. The staff shifted faintly, caught in the tide's breath. Beyond the chamber, a narrow path led onward, close, winding through stone. For merchants, they whispered of this path, a way unseen, a path toward the hall of waves. The corridor pressed close, walls traced with faint line, spirals folding through dark. The sea moved slow, breath deep. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, marked with wave. Beyond it, the hall of waves. A space vast, walls veiled in coral and kelp. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks. Here water moved in slow breath, folding through stone. For women, they wove this place with voice. Now the sea hums their refrain. At the hall's heart a great basin lay. Within it waves moved, soft, slow, folding outward, fading. A moment of slow time. One wave rose, silvered, breath caught and released. Around the basin, ledges stood. Upon them, fragments lay, bowls dulled, coils of thread pale, rings veiled in shadow. For peasants, they whispered of this hall in hush. A space where breath met water. One ledge bore a single ring, its silver dulled, its surface traced with faint spiral. A moment of slow time. The ring caught faint light, folding through the dark. Beyond the hall, a stair climbed once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, this stair led to the vault of depths. The stair wound through stone, each breath slow, each step deep. At its end, a door of stone awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it, the path continued, and beneath the nave, a forgotten light flickered alone. The door of stone stood beneath the stair's end, its spirals faint, softened beneath the breath of the deep. For scribes, this was the gate of depths. Beyond it, breath and stone became one. Now the sea keeps their silence. A breath moved through stone and tide. The door shifted, slow, deep. A breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair wound downward, narrow, steep. Walls close, stone veined with pale light. For women, they carried breath here in silence. Now their steps echo beneath the tide. The sea pressed heavy, shadows folded close, each breath slow, each step deep. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles rose along stone, trembling in hush. Lower still the stair turned. Marks faded, spirals folding inward, vanishing beneath the deep. At last, the stair opened. The vault of depths, a space vast, hollow beneath the sea's breath, its ceiling unseen, lost in shadow. Here the sea moved slow, breath folded through stone. For pilgrims, this was a place of reverence. they gathered here in silence. Now only the tide remains. Around the vault, stone pillars rose, broad, veiled in coral and shell. Between them water drifted, soft waves folding through dark. At the vault's heart a dais stood. Upon it a single vessel, stone hollowed, veiled in kelp. A moment of slow time. The vessel shimmered faintly, light folding through its depth. For scribes, they wrote here in breath and shadow. Now their words drift unseen. Around the dais benches circled, stone worn smooth by countless touch. Upon them fragments lay, scrolls dissolved, coils of thread pale, bowls dulled by salt. One bench bore a single chain, its links veiled in pale green. A moment of slow time. The chain shifted faintly, breath folding through its length. Beyond the vault, a narrow stair rose, steep, winding through stone. For merchants, they spoke of this path in whisper, a way unseen toward the deep garden. The stair climbed through stone veined with faint light, each step pressed beneath the sea's breath. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, marked with thread and wave. Beyond it, the deep garden, a space wide, walls veiled in kelp and coral. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks. Here, plants moved in slow breath, threads weaving through dark. For women, they shaped this place with voice and hand. Now the sea tends their garden. At the garden's heart a pool lay, its surface smooth, breath folded through its depth. A moment of slow time. A single leaf drifted downward, folding through shadow. Around the pool, stone paths wound, pale lines traced through silt. For peasants, they spoke of this garden in hush, a space where breath wove with stone. One path led to a single bench, its surface traced with faint spirals. Upon it a basket lay, woven, its weave pale and soft. Within, a single stone rested, dark, unmoved. A moment of slow time. The stone gleamed faintly, shadows folding through its core. Beyond the garden, a stair climbed once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, this stair led to the vault of seals. The stair wound through stone veined with light, each breath slow, each step deep. At its end, a door of stone awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it, the path continued, and through the unseen cracks, salt whispered faintly still. The door of stone stood before the stair's end, its spirals faint, lines folding inward, veiled beneath the sea's breath. For scribes, this was the gate of seals. Beyond it, vows lay bound in silence. Now the sea alone guards them. A deep breath moved through stone and tide. The door shifted, slow, patient, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair wound downward, steep, narrow. Walls pressed close, stone veined with dark light. For women, they carried oaths here in silence. Now their steps drift beneath the deep. The sea pressed heavy, shadows folded thick. Each breath deep, each step slow. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles clung to stone, rising in trembling arcs. Lower still, the stair turned. Marks faded, spirals folding into dark. Stone held its breath. At last, the stair opened. The vault of seals, a space vast, hollow beneath the sea's breath, its ceiling unseen, lost in shadow. Here the sea moved slow, breath folded through stone. For pilgrims, this was a place of vows. They gathered here in silence. Now the tide holds their word. Around the vault, stone pillars rose, broad, veiled in coral and shell. Between them, seals hung, circles of iron, their surfaces dulled with salt. At the vault's heart, a great ring stood, stone veiled in pale thread. Upon it a single seal remained, bronze traced with faint line, a moment of slow time. The seal gleamed faintly, shadows folding through its edge. For scribes, they wrote these seals in breath and word. Now their voice drifts unseen. Around the ring, benches circled, stone worn smooth by countless touch. Upon them, fragments lay, rings dulled, scrolls dissolved, coils of thread pale. One bench bore a single ribbon, its weave faded, edges frayed. A moment of slow time. The ribbon stirred faintly, caught in the tide's breath. Beyond the vault, a narrow path led onward, close, winding through stone. For merchants, they whispered of this path, a way unseen toward the hollow of breath. The corridor pressed close, walls traced with faint line, spirals folding through dark. The sea moved slow, breath deep. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, marked with spiral and wave. Beyond it, the hollow of breath, a space vast, walls veiled in coral and kelp. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks. Here, water moved in slow breath, folding through stone. For women, they gathered here to weave breath and song. Now the sea hums their refrain. At the hollow's heart, a pool lay, its surface smooth, breath folding through its depth. A moment of slow time. A single thread drifted downward, folding through shadow. Around the pool, stone ledges stood. Upon them, fragments lay, bowls dulled, beads pale, small vessels veiled in silt. For peasants, they spoke of this hollow in hush, a space where breath met water. One ledge bore a single cup, silver dulled, its rim traced with faint line. A moment of slow time. The cup caught faint light, folding through the dark. Beyond the hollow, a stair climbed once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, this stair led to the vault of threads. The stair wound through stone veined with faint light, each breath slow, each step deep. At its end, a door of stone awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it, the path continued, and across the cold beams, shadows gathered in silence. The door of stone waited at the stair's end, its spirals worn, lines folding inward, softened beneath the sea's breath. For scribes, this was the gate of threads. Beyond it, time lay woven. Now the tide carries its patterns unseen. A breath moved through stone and tide. The door shifted, low, slow, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair climbed, steep, narrow, winding through stone veined with pale light. For women, they carried threads here in silence. Now their weaving drifts beneath the deep. The sea pressed close, shadows folded thick, each breath slow, each step deep. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles clung to stone, rising in trembling arcs. Higher still, the stair wound. Marks faded, spirals folding inward, vanishing beneath the dark. At last the stair opened. The vault of threads, a space vast, hollow beneath the sea's breath, its ceiling unseen, lost in shadow. Here the sea moved slow, breath folded through stone, threads weaving unseen paths. For pilgrims, this was a place of binding. They gathered here with voice and thread. Now only silence weaves. Around the vault, great looms stood, stone frames veiled in coral and shell. Upon them, threads hung, pale, drifting through the tide's breath. At the vault's heart, a loom remained, its frame broad, its weave half-formed. Upon it, a single spindle lay, silver dulled, its thread unwound. A moment of slow time. The spindle shifted faintly, breath folding through its line. For scribes, they wrote here in thread. Now their patterns drift unseen. Around the loom, benches circled, stone worn smooth by countless touch. Upon them, fragments lay, spindles dulled, coils of thread pale, needles veiled in silt. One bench bore a single thimble, its surface traced with faint spiral. A moment of slow time. The thimble caught faint light, folding through the dark. Beyond the vault, a narrow path led onward, close, winding through stone. For merchants, they spoke of this path in hush, a way unseen toward the chamber of looms. The corridor pressed close, walls traced with faint line, spirals folding through shadow. The sea moved slow, breath deep. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, marked with wave and thread. Beyond it, the chamber of looms, a space vast, walls veiled in kelp and coral. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks. Here, threads folded in slow breath, woven through stone and tide. For women, they wove this place in silence. Now the sea hums their refrain. At the chamber's heart, a loom of gold stood, its frame veiled in pale thread. Upon it, a single pattern remained, half-formed, breath folding through its weave. A moment of slow time. One thread shimmered faintly, folding through the dark. Around the loom ledges stood. Upon them fragments lay, rings dulled, coils of thread pale, bowls veiled in shadow. For peasants, they whispered of this chamber in story, a space where time wove through stone. One ledge bore a single comb, its teeth worn, its surface veiled in salt. A moment of slow time. The comb stirred faintly, caught in the tide's breath. Beyond the chamber a stair climbed once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, this stair led to the vault of glass. The stair wound through stone veined with faint light. Each breath slow, each step deep. At its end a door of stone awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it the path continued, and beneath worn velvet the keys sang faintly once more. The door of stone waited at the stair's end, its spirals pale, traced faintly beneath the sea's patient breath. For scribes, this was the gate of glass. Beyond it, light once moved through shadow. Now the sea carries its glimmer unseen. A breath passed through stone and tide. The door shifted, low, deep, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair rose, narrow, winding upward through stone, walls close, veined with faint light. For women, they carried light here in silence. Now their steps drift beneath the deep. The sea pressed heavy, shadows folded close, each breath slow, each step deep. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles clung to stone, rising in trembling arcs. Higher still, the stair wound. Marks faded, spirals folding inward, vanishing beneath the dark. At last, the stair opened. The vault of glass, a space vast, hollow beneath the sea's breath, its ceiling unseen, lost in shadow. Here the sea moved slow, breath folded through stone, light shimmered, weaving faint paths. For pilgrims, this was a place of seeing. They gathered here beneath glass and tide. Now only the sea watches. Around the vault great panels stood, glass veiled in coral and kelp. Upon them, faint scenes remained, shapes folding through light and shadow. At the vault's heart a pedestal rose, stone worn smooth. Upon it a single shard lay, glass pale, its edges soft. A moment of slow time. The shard caught faint light folding through the deep. For scribes, they shaped these panes with breath and line. Now their visions drift unseen. Around the pedestal, benches circled, stone worn smooth by countless touch. Upon them fragments lay, panes cracked, coils of thread pale, rings dulled. One bench bore a single lens, its surface clouded, rim traced with faint spiral. A moment of slow time. The lens gleamed faintly, breath folding through its core. Beyond the vault a narrow path led onward, close, winding through stone. For merchants, they whispered of this path, a way unseen toward the prism chamber. The corridor pressed close, walls traced with faint line, spirals folding through shadow. The sea moved slow, breath deep. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, marked with spiral and wave. Beyond it, the prism chamber. A space wide, walls veiled in coral and glass. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks. Here, prisms folded breath, light weaving through stone. For women, they wove this place with hand and word. Now the sea hums their song. At the chamber's heart, a prism of crystal stood, tall, veiled in pale light. Within it, color folded slow, shimmering through the tide. A moment of slow time. The prism pulsed faintly, shadows folding through its face. Around the prism, ledges stood. Upon them, fragments lay. Rings dulled, coils of thread pale, bowls veiled in shadow. For peasants, they whispered of this chamber in hush, a space where light and breath became one. One ledge bore a single pendant, glass veiled in salt, chain dulled to green. A moment of slow time. The pendant stirred faintly, caught in the tide's breath. Beyond the chamber, a stair climbed once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, this stair led to the vault of bells. The stair wound through stone veined with faint light, each breath slow, each step deep. At its end, a door of stone awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it, the path continued, and in the hollow dark, the breath of stone grew stronger. The door of stone waited at the stair's end. Its spirals faded, soft lines folding beneath the sea's slow breath. For scribes, this was the gate of bells. Beyond it, sound once wove through stone. Now the sea carries their last tones unseen. A deep breath moved through tide and stone. The door shifted, low, patient, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair wound upward, steep, narrow, close within stone. Walls traced with faint light, shadows folding with each step. For women, they carried bells here in silence. Now their tones drift beneath the deep. The sea pressed heavy. Shadows lay thick, each breath slow, each step deep. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles clung to stone, rising in soft arcs. Higher still, the stair wound. Marks faded, spirals folding inward, lost beneath time. At last, the stair opened. The vault of bells. A space vast, hollow beneath the sea's breath. Its ceiling unseen, dark beyond sight. Here the sea moved slow. Breath folded through stone. Sound slept beneath water's hush. For pilgrims, this was a place of tone. They gathered here with song and bell. Now the sea hums their last refrain. Around the vault great bells hung, bronze dulled, veiled in coral and shell, each one stilled beneath the tide's patient breath. At the vault's heart a single bell stood, broad, pale, its tongue silent. Upon it faint lines remained, spirals folding across its form. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles rose along the bell's surface, trembling in hush. For scribes, they wrote these tones in breath and line. Now their echoes drift unseen. Around the bell benches circled, stone worn smooth beneath unseen hands. Upon them, fragments lay. Small bells cracked, coils of thread pale, beads dulled. One bench bore a single mallet, its shaft veiled in salt, its head worn smooth. A moment of slow time. The mallet shifted faintly, caught in the tide's breath. Beyond the vault, a narrow path led onward, close, winding through stone. For merchants, they spoke of this path in hush, a way unseen toward the chamber of silence. The corridor pressed close, walls traced with faint line, spirals folding through dark. The sea moved slow, breath deep. At its end, an arch of stone, plain, marked with wave and spiral. Beyond it, the chamber of silence, a space wide, walls veiled in coral and shadow. Soft light drifted through unseen cracks. Here no tone moved, breath stilled within stone. For women, they wove this hush in rite. Now the sea guards their silence. At the chamber's heart a single stone stood, plain, its surface smooth. Upon it a folded cloth remained, deep blue, its weave soft beneath tide. A moment of slow time. The cloth stirred faintly, edges folding with breath. Around the stone ledges stood. Upon them fragments lay, rings dulled, coils of thread pale, bowls veiled in shadow. For peasants, they whispered of this chamber in hush, a space where breath lay held. One ledge bore a single locket, silver traced with faint spiral, clasp worn. A moment of slow time. The locket gleamed softly, shadows folding through its face. Beyond the chamber a stair climbed once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, this stair led to the final hall. The stair wound through stone veined with faint light. Each breath slow, each step deep. At its end a door of stone awaited, traced with faint spirals. Beyond it, the path continued. And through forgotten corridors, soft footsteps echoed. The door of stone waited at the stair's end, its spirals worn thin, lines folding inward beneath the weight of the sea's breath. For scribes, this was the final threshold. Beyond it nothing more was written. Now the sea holds all that lingers. A breath passed through tide and stone. The door shifted, low, deep, a breath drawn and released. It parted. Beyond, a stair wound upward, narrow, steep, close within stone. Walls bare, veined with pale quartz. For women, they walked these final steps alone. Now their footfalls drift in the dark. The sea pressed heavy, shadows folded close. Each breath slow, each step deep. A moment of slow time. Tiny air bubbles rose along stone, trembling as they climbed. Higher still the stair wound. Marks faded, spirals folding into shadow. At last the stair opened. The final hall. A space vast, hollow beneath the sea's breath. Its ceiling unseen, lost in darkness. Here the sea moved slow, breath folded through stone, time unspooled in silence. For pilgrims, this was the last of places. They stood here beneath stone and tide. Now only the hush remains. Around the hall tall pillars stood, plain, veiled in coral. Between them water drifted, soft waves folding through shadow. At the hall's heart a single table stood, stone worn smooth. Upon it a folded robe lay, deep blue, edges trailing through the tide. A moment of slow time. The robe stirred faintly, breath folding through its weave. For scribes, this was a place beyond word. Now their silence is all that speaks. Around the table benches circled, stone worn smooth by unseen hands. Upon them fragments lay, scrolls long dissolved, rings dulled, coils of thread pale. One bench bore a single quill, its feather pale, point worn smooth. A moment of slow time. The quill drifted faintly, caught in the tide's breath. Beyond the benches, a narrow path wound onward, close, winding through stone. For merchants, no tale spoke of this path, a way unseen beyond breath. The corridor pressed close, walls bare, shadows deep. The sea moved slow. At its end an arch of stone, plain, unmarked. Beyond it, a hidden chamber. A space small, walls bare, veiled in darkness. No sound stirred, no light wove. Here, only the breath of the sea remained. For women, they wove this place in hush. Now the sea guards their last threads. At the chamber's heart a stone stood, tall, unmarked. Before it a bowl lay, its surface smooth, empty. A moment of slow time. A single grain of sand drifted downward, folding through the dark. Around the stone ledges stood. Upon them fragments lay, rings dulled, coils of thread pale. beads veiled in shadow. One ledge bore a single key, its metal worn, surface veiled in salt. A moment of slow time. The key gleamed faintly, shadows folding through its form. Beyond the chamber, a stair climbed once more, steep, narrow. For soldiers, no path was known beyond this point. Here breath folded into stone. The stair wound through darkness, each breath slow, each step deep. No door awaited, no arch remained. Only the hush, only the sea. And beneath the unseen cracks, salt whispered faintly still.